Ed Davey, can I just start with this morning's story? Would a Lib Dem government continue to pay the French police £54 million a year to fail to stop illegal crossings?
Well, first of all, we changed the policy on dealing with the crossings. Priti Patel's policy, the Conservative policy, is not working. As we've seen, we're seeing an increasing number of crossings. And the reason why their shriller and shriller policies aren't working is they're not dealing with the root cause. What we would do is ensure there are safe routes for people who are trying to come to this country. Resettlement schemes, family reunion schemes, these exist and they should be developed further. And that would mean many people would not put themselves at great risk and cause this problem in the first place. But Trevor, if we're talking about what the government said it would do with the French, it appears that there's a complete disagreement between the French and the British at the moment. It seems, according to the French minister, that Priti Patel has reneged on her deal. And if she's reneged on the deal, that is obviously going to cause lots of problems on the French side. So from what I know, it looks like the British government isn't paying its bills, and that's causing the problem.
OK, let's talk about energy. You were Energy Secretary for 3 years. Did you support the introduction of the price cap?
When it came in, and as it's used now, yes, I do. I do think we need to protect consumers from these rising bills. This is unprecedented rises in people's heating bills and the power bills, and they need some protection. I'd actually go further, and I was slightly concerned about the way Kwasi Kwarteng talked about this. He doesn't seem to realise there are millions of people who are on very low income, vulnerable people, hardworking people on low incomes, who are going to face a real crisis, a cost of living crisis over the coming months. And he didn't seem to engage with that. And the price cap is a protection, but when it comes to things like the most vulnerable, 2 million households in fuel poverty, there is a mechanism. He actually mentioned it. It's called Warm Homes Discount. What I would do is I would double or triple that Warm Homes Discount. It takes £140 off people's bills, and I would want to extend it to more low-income households. Let's remember, they've just cut universal credit by £20 a week. I thought that was an outrageous thing to do because it's going to mean millions of low-paid working families in real crisis. So if they're going to proceed with that appalling cut, the very least they can do, the very least, when people are struggling with these high heating bills, is to look at something like the Warm Homes Discount. And that's what Liberal Democrats would do today. We would double or triple that and extend that support for people's energy bills to more people who are hardworking but on low incomes.
So, in essence, spend some more billions.
Well, I think it actually is it's not billions, actually, it's hundreds of millions. It would target that support on the people who are going to struggle, the people who may end up having to choose between heating and eating over the winter months.
The government's already giving local authorities £500 million for that purpose, aren't they?
Well, that purpose is mainly, Trevor, as I've understood it, to replace the £6 billion cut they're making in universal credit. And
if you look at their statement, it almost uses exactly the same words you've just used, which is that it is targeted at the most vulnerable.
Well, I'm very worried about the approach they're taking. They're taking £6 billion from the most vulnerable and replacing with just $500 million in a system which isn't clear how it's going to get to people. But they have the system that I'm talking about is in place. It could be triggered tomorrow. And the reason why I think the Conservatives aren't doing it is what you saw from Kwasi Kwarteng. They don't really care about these households. And more than that, let's remember, they were wanting to get rid of this warm home discount. When I've talked to Tories, they refuse to admit that something called fuel poverty even exists. So Liberal Democrats are determined to be with the millions of households who are going to struggle this winter with their heating bills. And we're proposing the warm homes discount rise as a method. Do you know, there's other things they should be doing as well. Back in the Labour government days, there was lots of insulation programmes, so people didn't have to use so much gas, so their heating bills were lower. As Secretary of State, I continued those programmes. We insulated hundreds of thousands, even over 1 million homes. I'm very proud of that. And that meant those heating bills will be reduced despite the higher costs. The Conservatives have absolutely failed to insulate people's homes. So people who are in fuel poverty, people who are really struggling, don't even have that protection. So whether it's warm homes out, whether it's insulating people's bills, I'm really worried that the government don't seem to be providing the help they ought to consumers.